Welcome to Animal Football Insider, your weekly look into the happenings of your Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Florida Gators, and all things related to football. And now, from West Des Moines, Iowa, here's your host, The Animal.
Finally starting to set in after what was not the greatest weekend for football, make no mistake about that. And there was a lot that happened during the course of the weekend. It wasn't pretty. It probably will go down as one of the worst weekends in both in college and on the NFL side. But not to worry, because the Animal Football Insider is right here to get you all set up and prepared, not only for the game this weekend, but also for looking back on what happened last week in both the NFL and both college football and, of course, the National Football League. You're surely the Animal with you on this edition of Insider. Glad you could make it tonight. Our chat room is going to be open here, and I'm going to be looking at it off and on, getting some comments. We were supposed to have some guests come on tonight, but unfortunately things could not work out. So you're going to have me here for a while, and maybe we can get a surprise guest here and there, because you never know with the Animal Football Insider. You just never know what is going to happen. Just surely the Animal with you on a beautiful Thursday night. It was nice and cool, but for the people down in Gainesville, things are getting pretty hot, especially when you consider what happened last week. And for the Florida Gators, that's where we'll begin our conversation. You know, coming into the game on Saturday afternoon, a lot of people felt like, this might be a game for the Gators, maybe to get things on track a little bit, maybe be willing to play some good football. And it depends on judging how you view good football. You can look at it both ways. For Anthony Richardson, he was making his first start as a Florida Gator against the number one team in the nation, the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, a lot of people here are going to sit here and they're going to criticize Dan Mullen, saying, well, they put Richardson out there. They put him out ready to fail. But if you go back and you look at it, I thought that for the most part, I thought that Anthony Richardson played well. If you take away the last 2 minutes of the first half, because I tell you what, the last 2 minutes of the first half were probably the most awful first half 2 minutes in football as a Florida Gator fan that I can recall that we've seen in a long time. And for the Gators, and it all started, the Gators had a, the Gators were up Georgia was up 3-0, and they held on to that lead 3-0 all the way to about 2 minutes to go in the first half. And let's see here. Gators, Georgia rushed it in for a touchdown with 2 minutes and 16 seconds to go. That put the game at 10-0 Georgia. Then Florida came out. They get a false start. Then Richardson, he tried to run and couldn't do anything, because you can hardly run against a Florida Gator, against a Georgia Bulldog defense. Then Richardson got intercepted, and then a couple plays later, they ran it in for a score. Okay, that made the score 17-0. And then Richardson had the ball again, and I believe he fumbled on that play. I think. Let's see. He was sacked for a loss of one. Yes, he was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. And that made the score 24-0 at halftime, and it just went on downhill from there as the Florida Gators fell at the hands of the Georgia Bulldogs. 34-7 was the final score on the night, in which Anthony Richardson was 12 of 20 for 82 yards and had two interceptions on the day, both causing points to be scored. Now, even though that score was 24-0 at halftime, you really could stop and you think about the second half. Georgia only got 10 points in the second half. Okay. And of course, Florida got a touchdown. So in the second half, you could say Florida, still lost, but only by 10-7. Because the Gators came out, they played just a little bit better. But still, that 2-minute drive really just put a damper on things. And as you look back on it, you think to yourself, boy, these guys just did not play with a lot of fire, especially after those interceptions. And it really caused a lot of problems, especially for Gator fans. Now, add fuel to the fire on this, and you get Kirby Smart after the game. Kirby Smart was in his post-game press briefing, and he talked about making the comments of how, well, if you're going to recruit, you have to be one of the best at recruiting. Basically firing a shot at Dan Mullen. Well, come Monday, in the press briefing, the very first question that came out was about recruiting. Dan Mullen says, I will not talk about recruiting. We don't talk about recruiting during the football season. We're going to wait for that in the off season. That caused quite a stir. To make matters worse, no players were going to be available during the course of the week. And it just caused it just sent a really bad message, because everybody was under the impression, the Florida Gators do not recruit during the course of the year. So it really caused a lot of problems. Now, here's where what you guys really need to know. If people really actually believe that the Florida Gators do not recruit during the course of the season, you're very sadly mistaken. Okay. First of all, Dan Mullen cannot go out and recruit. He's serving an NCAA penalty for recruiting violation, so he's not even allowed to go out and recruit. Okay. So a lot of these other coaches, they're on the road, and they are out to high school football games Friday night watching these guys play. Okay. They're continuously on the phone with these recruits. Okay. Now, while I will say that the recruiting at Florida needs to get better, there is no doubt about that. It has to be, they need to really start getting their act together recruiting wise. They need to start finding out if this is really going to be a good year for this team. They need to grab the cream of the crop in terms of recruiters. Okay. And one of the best recruiters in all of college football happens to be Charlie Strong. Throw his name out the window right now. Okay. And when I'm going to get to the Charlie Strong matter here in just a few minutes. But guys like Charlie Strong, they're able to recruit. And they recruit very well in different parts of the state. And for Charlie Strong, his targeting is like the northern part of Florida. Now, there was also a report that came out about the finances, about how much Florida puts into the recruiting effort from a financial standpoint. And there are a list of colleges that with the estimated financial input for recruiting. I think for Georgia, it was like $3.8 million. And please excuse me, Florida's like 9th or 10th with $1.7 million. I forget what it was, but that's for recruiting totally. Now, a lot of people take note of that, and they say to themselves, oh my gosh, that's all you put into recruiting? No wonder you're horrible. Well, let's back up here just a minute, and let's put this into a rational. Let's put this in a rational sense. Okay. First of all, what you have is a situation where, number one, the Gators have their own plane. Okay, so they can all of that. So so they don't have to take commercial flights. They fly out on their own, okay, to these different schools and watch these kids play. Number two, and a lot of times, most of the recruiting is done in the state of Florida. So a lot of times, these guys can just drive in their cars and drive to different things, to different events. But also, here's something else to keep in mind too. Scott Strickland and the University of Florida Athletic Department is putting a heavy financial investment into their facilities. There's like a $200 million all football practice facility for just football only. So swimming pool, weight room, study halls, things like that. And it's things like this that entices these players and these recruits who want to come to these schools. Now, and by the way, post some comments if you want to debate this, because I'm more than happy to do that. But for the most part, recruiting is a big part of it. But if anybody thinks for 1 minute that Florida's not recruiting, guys, you're sadly mistaken. If you don't think for 1 minute that Florida does not invest the money that they're investing in it, I mean, a $200 million a $200 million football facility, okay, including indoor practice facility, weight room, swimming pools, all the things that guys want, okay, and plus the fact, you have another tool in the process of recruiting. That's called the transfer portal, okay? Guys like DeMarcus Bowman, who we got from the transfer portal. Other guys whose name doesn't ring a bell to me right now. If you got names, please post them in the chat room. Who have been in the transfer portal, have come to Florida and are playing some pretty good ball. So for everybody to get very upset and say to themselves, Dan Mullen is not recruiting, he's not doing the job that he should be doing, keep one thing in mind. People have different ways of doing everything. Okay. Now, as a Gator fan, am I upset with the way the Florida Gators playing? Yes. Am I upset with this defense? Yes. Am I upset with the way the offense has taken shape during the course of the year? Yes. But let's also remember, too, that this is not Dan Mullen's team in its entirety. He still has some holdovers from the Jim McElwain era. So, in a large scheme of things, this is not Dan Mullen's team entirely. Okay. But Dan Mullen's making a lot of progress. Now, we're going to find out this Saturday night how far that progress is going on. Because over the course of the next 4 weeks, they have teams of South Carolina, they have Samford, they have Missouri, and we're going to be in Missouri covering some things, and I'll bring some videos, hopefully maybe an interview or two with a couple of beat writers who like to join me. Because you never know when we go to Missouri, you never know what's going to happen there. And then, of course, they're going to end it traditionally with the Florida State Seminoles, which, by the way, they've been playing some pretty good ball themselves. But that's down the road. For the Florida Gators, their game right now is going to be South Carolina Gamecocks Saturday night in South Carolina when they would take on South Carolina. The game is at 7:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Central Time on the SEC Network. And of course, that's going to be a very interesting game in itself. Because now I want to see how well the Florida Gators respond to the challenge that is set before them. Okay. I want to know how good can this Florida Gator team become? How good they respond after what happened last week. Now, one of the other things about what happened this week was that Dan Mullen ceased all interviews with the players, which caused another problem in itself. And a lot of people were upset with that. But for Dan Mullen, he's taking a new, I think for Dan, I think he's taking a new approach to things and say, you know what, guys, we're going to shut everybody out for the week. We're going to regroup and we're going to get our heads back together here. Because what we saw on Saturday, in some ways was horrendous, but other ways was not all that bad. And let me explain. Richardson, as I said, was 12 of 20 for 82 yards. Emory Jones replaced him in the game, and even though he didn't get a touchdown, was 10 of 14 for 112 yards. Let's see, for a rushing game, Damian Pierce, 9 carries for 69 yards. Anthony Richardson was 12 for 39. Naquan Rice, 7 for 27. I read an interesting stat about Damian Pierce. He's averaging like 7 yards per carry. The guy's a beast. Okay. The guy is just amazing. And you know what that's credited to? The offensive line and the fine work that offensive line is doing. Okay. They didn't have the best. Now, we know that Florida didn't have the best games last week, considering who they were playing. But it also tells you the measuring stick and gives Dan Mullen and this team a barometer for where they need to go. And also gives the kids an attention grabber and say to themselves, we have a long way to go if we're going to reach the pinnacle of the Georgias and the Alabamas. And in a lot of ways, it's quite possible that game on Saturday was probably an eye-opener for these guys. Okay. So, it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. Put your comments in the chat room. I'd love to hear what you guys think about what, the comments that I'm saying here. Okay. And I'm not, and while I'm teed off about the game on Saturday, I'm not totally shocked, because I knew that this was going to be a Gator. I knew that this was going to be a Gator team that wasn't going to come out and shock everybody. I thought they would play competitive. I thought the Gators were going to be competitive. I really thought that they were going to come out and give it to Georgia and give everything they had, But in a lot of ways, I think they did. But it just wasn't good enough because of the fact that Georgia's a much better, much stronger team. And believe me, I hate saying that. Okay, people that know me know that I'm a guy that I just can't stand Georgia. Okay, when I think of Georgia, I think of yesterday's news. It was just an unbelievable event and a game that they want to that they want to put behind. Now, told you about Dan Mullen not wanting to talk to reporters and everything. On Wednesday, Dan Mullen cleared things up and assured Gator Nation, yes, we are recruiting. We're doing it every single day. We're on the phone with players, trying to calm Gator Nation down because Twitter was all a buzz. But on Tuesday, he gave an interview with Edgar Thompson of the Orlando Sentinel. And in that interview, per Dan Mullen, he says that, that the administration is behind him and they approve of what he's doing right now with the program. And in seeing that, I haven't read the story, but in seeing that, it gives me the notion that Dan Mullen has made it be known that some changes are going to come in the offseason. They have to. Okay. Number one, I think the Todd Grantham's gone. I think we've established that already. I think that Christian Robinson also may be gone, which might not be a great loss, but Christian recruits well. And this is going to be another set of problems that Dan Mullen is going to have, because then once these new guys are hired, Dan Mullen is going to have to go out and um, Dan Mullen is just going to have to go out and recruit all over again. Good friend Roy Hooker posts a comment in the chat room. He says, "Does Dan survive a big loss to the Gamecocks?" I say he doesn't. Well, I mean, I, first of all, they're not going to lose to the Gamecocks. That's number one. Okay. Then again, we said that about them. Then we said that about Kentucky as well. Oh, I think he'll survive. I don't. I think people see this defense for what it is, and this Gator team, you know, and well, it goes on to say, should they lose? No, I I think Dan is fine. I think Dan Mullen is safe and doesn't have, and I think that he's the guy that's going to lead this team forward. Okay. I mean, let's be honest about something here, people. You don't get rid of a coach when 3/4 of your team you recruited. What are you going to do? Bring another head coach coming in and be a leader to Dan Mullen's guys? I mean, I find that kind of absurd if you ask me. I think that's what, in a lot of ways, I think that's what Dan Mullen's been doing with Jim McElwain's guys. I mean, it kind of works both ways. But I'll tell you what's interesting and what's going on, especially today on Twitter. And if you know it, and you know who it is, I appreciate you posting in the chat room. But somebody on Twitter made some comments that if Dan Mullen should leave, he would make a great offensive coordinator for an NFL squad. All right. This is somebody trying to fuel the fire again about possibility of Dan Mullen's, leaving, going to another team, et cetera, et cetera. And as I'm looking and I'm reading this, this is exactly what's going on in my mind here. This just in, the animal does have one. I'm just letting you know. So it adds to the question. It adds to the question: will Dan Mullen be back? Okay. There's some people say that Dan Mullen doesn't even want to be here. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for 1 minute. I think Dan Mullen is in a position where he's just very upset, very perturbed by the events that have gone on. And I would tell you, if the reports are right, I've been told that Dan Mullen was not in a happy mood on Sunday, was not in a happy mood on Monday. He was going around yelling and screaming at assistant coaches, yelling and screaming at the players. They had a Monday morning meeting. It just got into a situation, from what I understand, where Dan Mullen was even firing at some of the staff people. Okay, so if those reports are true, then Dan Mullen is not happy. What does he say here? When you lose your team, you lose the media, you lose your rivals, you lose to inferior teams, and you lose a recruiting game. Currently ranked 9th in the SEC, he doesn't survive. I don't think Dan's lost a team. I don't think Dan Mullen has lost a team at all. I think that I think that there is some, and I think possibly that's probably the week that's probably Dan Mullen has done what he's done. Shut everything off from the world for these guys, regroup, refocus, and get his team back, maybe. But has he lost it? I don't think he has. I think that he's just in a position that he did not expect this team to have the season that they've had. Okay. I think a lot of Gator fans, like you would say, yeah, we expect to have a great season. We expect to not to lose to Kentucky. Instead, it just gotten into a situation where things have not developed the way they should. And is uh, Dan Mullen is just not happy right now. Would you be happy with the way this team's playing? You know, Dan's mad at himself. He's mad at his defensive coordinator. He's mad at everybody. You know, even look at what happened with LSU. You know, their running back running for 260 yards on this defense. I'd be mad. I'd be mad too, people. Against a team that wasn't um you know that wasn't you know I know about LSU. I don't know about the LSU game. I mean, yes, LSU had a few injuries and all, but whether or not, okay, whether or not, you know, um, they should have lost the game. I think it's a shock because their running back just ran all over this Florida Gator defense. Wasn't the offense? It was the defense that lost them this game. Okay, so um, the sign that and Roy, I'm going to tell you this: as you say, I'm looking for a sign that Dan hasn't lost the team. Well, let's see on Saturday night. I want to see on Saturday night how I want to see on Saturday night just if this team has rebounded. And I go back to what I said before, the reaction, how they respond after last week. Dan has filtered the noise from the outside because he wants to, because maybe Dan feels like maybe some ways he has lost the team a little bit, and maybe that's why he's doing what he's doing and trying to get trying to get order restored back in Gator country. I do it. I'm not so sure that maybe he shouldn't have done it for the Georgia game. But Georgia is such a big game and all, it's very hard for him to shut out the players despite all that. Okay. But we're going to find out Saturday night when they take on South Carolina. 7:30, it's a kickoff time. Check out all the action. Roy says, fair enough, but they're an 18-point favorite. The FSU game may be a better gauge. I think the South Carolina game should be a better gauge. Or even Missouri. But I say that because I want to know how they respond to this game. I want to know how well they play. Okay. I don't care about the point spread. I don't care about all that. What I care about is performance. How well you play. And even if they lose, I want to see them play with a lot of effort. I want to see a team that really cares about what they're doing. I know, and I think to some extent the guys do care about what they're doing, but it just makes me wonder, if how they respond to Saturday night will be a gauge, So, and that's something I didn't know. Thank you very much. So Gamecocks are going to be on their third string quarterback, and I like Shane Beamer. I think he's a pretty cool guy. Okay. Laura Rutledge, and by the way, you're watching this edition of the Animal Football Insider. Yours truly coming at you from West Des Moines, Iowa, where we focus on the Bucs, we focus on the Gators, and of course, we focus on anything related to football. And we're talking about South Carolina game Saturday night. Head coach Shane Beamer as the head coach, and I like Shane Beamer. Alyssa Lang did a story on, if you watch the SEC Network, Alyssa Lang did a story on one of their kickers. And she was talking about how the players kick and everything. So they had Alyssa Lang come out and try and kick a field goal. Actually, it wasn't that bad of a kick. And Shane Beamer came out, joined it, and had a good time. And I like Shane Beamer. I think that's one guy that's going to do some good things with South Carolina. But, for the Gators, they better watch themselves and get their bus back in gear and come out and play a good ball game. By the way, Anthony Richardson is not going to play in the game on Saturday night. As Emory Jones, he is taking over the reins here. So, and while the Gamecocks are on their third-string quarterback, the Gators are going to be with their second-string quarterback, and Emory Jones. Or should we say 1A and 1B? No, because they do use the two-quarterback system. And so that's going to be very interesting to see. NFL football is on right now. They were tied 7-7. Colts just got a touchdown from Jonathan Taylor. They scored just a moment ago. Following the extra point, it should be 14-7. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about the Florida Gators and everything that has happened with that debacle. Time to put that away. Time to focus ourselves on what happens this coming weekend in South Carolina. We also have, of course, my other boys, known as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, for them, they traveled to New Orleans, Louisiana, which, by the way, ain't it ironic that we're talking about, a depleted LSU team. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints and the Buccaneers, and the fact that some guy named Roy Hooker used to be living in New Orleans. So, don't you know he's one of our favorite sons? So, in the words of Willie Nelson, he's riding on the train to New Orleans. So, 14-7. They're in the second quarter, and Mike White of the other team injured his hand, according to Roy. So we'll kind of keep you updated on that. Of course, Mike White is a former quarterback. They used to play with the South Florida Bulls. So Jets, thank you, Jets, Jets. So boy, talking about the Jets. Man, they've only won two games this year. Man, they're in a slump. Another team that's kind of in a mini slump are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They traveled to the confines of New Orleans, Louisiana to take on the New Orleans Saints. Their first contest since the playoff game last year in which Drew Brees played his last game. Well, in this contest, they had a different quarterback, some guy by the name of Jameis Winston. Yes, the same Jameis Winston that used to quarterback the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now is anchoring the reins for the New Orleans Saints in that game on Sunday. However, for the Buccaneers, things didn't look good. Thanks to 99 yards in penalties and only a total net yards of 421 yards total, Buccaneers go down in defeat at the hands of the New Orleans Saints 36-27. And while that happened in the process, we also saw where Jameis Winston was Okay, let us understand that. First of all, James Winston suffered a knee injury, which was later diagnosed to be a torn ACL. James Winston is done for the year. Kind of mentioned that on Twitter if you follow me, and that was a very ugly injury. Now the referees, just to give you an example of that game. Um, Devin White had reached up to grab to grab to grab Jameis. Okay, now I'm gonna turn around just a minute because I don't know if I can do this or not. But if you see where my name is, okay, okay. Um, Actually, let me do this. On a regular uniform, what you would see is the uh, the insignia. Now this is not NFL uniform, but for Devin White, he went to grab Jameis right around this area, somewhere in this area, and pulled him down. Well, in the NFL, that's considered a horse collar tackle. Now, a lot of people would say that's a bunch of crap, but in reality, is if you follow the rules, that's what it is. Is that the way Devin reached and pulled Jameis down? It was a horse collar tackle. So, from a technical standpoint, the officials were right, but a lot of people thought that was a cheap call. So a lot of people thought that was a cheap call, but nevertheless, James goes out, and the replacement came in. If I can remember who the replacement was, I'll give that name for you. Yeah, Trevor Simeon, who ended up 16 of 29 for 159 yards and one touchdown on the day. The defense really didn't play that bad. I mean, they limited the Saints' passing attack to just a little bit over 200 yards. But it was the rushing game that really was detrimental, as 61, 40, 27, about 175 yards roughly, something like that, which um, gave New Orleans the win. Um, gave New Orleans the win in that 36-27 game. The biggest story that came out of the game was penalties. Now, while I will tell you, ooh, this is interesting. Mike White for the Colts is out. Josh Johnson, who was the original draft pick for the Buccaneers, he's now in for the Jets. We'll be keeping an eye on that game during the course of the evening. The penalties in this game were atrocious. I always thought that they that they that the referees were going a little bit overboard, and as indicated here, because the penalties, the Bucs had 11 on the day, New Orleans had 2. Seriously, you're going to tell me that the Saints only had 2 penalties during the course of the game? Um, it was just unbelievable to see all that. And for Brady, 28 of 40 for 375 yards, he threw 4 touchdowns. That's another 4 touchdown. That's another 4 touchdown game for Brady, but he also threw 2 interceptions on the day. Okay. Well, I think the Bucs are disciplined too. Okay. I think the Bucs are disciplined too. Look at the game. Go back and watch that game again and tell me, do you really believe that the Buccaneers really committed those penalties? I mean, a lot of those, in my opinion, were ticky-tack plays. And the Bucs do lead the league in penalties. I think for I think for like 521 yards on the year. I read those numbers. And Bruce Arians is concerned about that. He should be. You know, as he said after the game, this was not one of our finest hours. He said that they didn't play well. Even to some extent, Tom Brady was making those comments as well. Is it cause for concern? Yes. Is it something whereby um, the Bucs can fix it? Oh, sure. I don't have a doubt. And I think for the Buccaneers right now, I think what they want to do, they just want to get away and then regroup and get ready for their next game in 2 weeks. Which, by the way, I'll find that out who they play against here in just a minute. But nevertheless, I think it's one of those. You have you ever had one of those bad games where you just say it's over with? Let's move on to the next game. I mean, it's. I mean that happens. You know, so that's interesting. They have to buy this week, and then next week, they'll travel to Washington to take on the Washington football team before coming back home for a Monday night football game encounter at home against the New York Giants. And then after that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Interesting. So, but yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I'll tell you what's funny about that, too. With the game, the Buccaneers have a chance to get revenge on the Saints on a Sunday night game at home against the New Orleans Saints. And I'm trying to see if I can get tickets for that game. Boy. So we'll see what happens on that perspective. But, it was, let's see here. And now reports according to Roy that Odell Beckham Jr. to the Bucs. I don't think we're going to see Odell come to the Bucs. He may like Brady. I don't see that happening. Because you have to think about this. You already have Antonio Brown. You already have a great core of receivers, and why would you want to bring on a guy like Odell Beckham, who really causes some problems off the field? I just don't see it happen. We'll get back to the Bucs here in just a minute. I got a little note here. I found interesting. Colts and the Jets are playing right now. Colts are up 14-7. Carson Wentz is at quarterback. And I got this interesting note today from an insider who tells me that the Colts are in a weird position. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said here. He said the Colts are in a weird position. They say that Wentz plays at least 75% of the season. The Colts will have to give the Philadelphia Eagles a first-round pick instead of a second-rounder. If they franchise him, he's worthy of a first-rounder. And the insider gives the indication that they're not a playoff team, and they just might sit Wentz the last 5 games of the season, which would be a great move strategic-wise. But whether that happens, that's going to be anybody's guess. But I just think for a guy like Carson Wentz, I think he has a lot more upside. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the stretch with him. So, but back to the Bucs here for just a minute. For just a minute. By the way, my good friend James Buck Wilson is expected to join me here in a little bit, and we'll talk more about the game. But as they head into the bye week, what would be the number one concern that you would be if you or as a Buck fan, what would be the number one concern for you as you head into the bye week? Working on penalties, working on improved play with with the defense. Of course, always says penalties, which I wholeheartedly agree with them. You know, they need to be stopping these penalties. And Jonathan Taylor's about ready to get another touchdown here in a few minutes. Colts are driving right now, but I think that the biggest concern is injuries. Okay, Sean Murphy Bunting is supposed to come back. I know that a couple other guys are supposed to be coming back. I know. They're in the market to find another cornerback, but Richard Sherman, he looks like that he's going to be coming back as well. Getting healthy this bye week, folks, probably could not have come at a better time, because it gives him the opportunity to heal thyself. Okay, are we having flashbacks? Are we having a deja vu again? Let's remember, going into the bye last year, the Buccaneers were playing about as good as me playing the guitar. Fair, but not great. Okay, but look what they did. You know, they came back after that bye and just tore it up and won it all in the Super Bowl. Now they have a chance again. They got to bye next week, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, then they go out for 9 straight weeks afterwards. So really and truthfully, they're taking a bye right exactly at the halfway point. Now that I think about that, I don't know if that's a good deal. Because when they took the bye the last time, they had like 5 games, I think it was. 5 games to go, because they took that bye pretty late in the season. Let's see here. I don't have it. Okay. So excuse me. So no, I can find it here. Hang on here. Leave it to the animal to conduct some great research here. Okay. So regular season 9, 10, 11, 12. They took the bye last week after the 13th week. So they were able to come back after that and actually play some great football. Okay. Roy asked a question. Can you please explain O.J. Howard? He came out of Bama with so much promise. Well, I think part of O.J.'s problem. I mean, look what he's up against. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he's not. Let's see here. I'm trying to get his numbers real quick. I think that for OJ, he could be playing better. Let's see here. I don't have the note. I can't find the numbers yet, but he could be. You know, he could be playing better. Let's see here. O.J. Howard, he only has 13 catches for 125 yards and 1 touchdown on the year. Yeah, he needs to be playing better. I don't know what his problem is. I don't know if he's. I don't know. I don't know if for Howard he's not. If he's a little bit intimidated by the receiving core, because uh, let's keep one thing in mind. When you talk about the receiving core, got Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown, Bernard Gronkowski. You know, Cameron Braid. It's very hard to get these guys. Uh, a lot of catches. Okay, I mean, quite frankly, who would you rather have in the lineup? OJ Howard or Mike Evans? No, Evans the one that's with the hot hand. Eight touchdowns on the year, averaging 14 yards of reception, 39 catches on the year. You know, excuse me. Godwin's leading with 50 receptions, 50 receptions, 660 yards, averaging 13 yards a catch. You know, very hard to break. Very hard to break in that lineup. Now that does not mean that it's an excuse. It just means that he is not living up to the potential that he should be living up to. And hopefully, James Buck Williams Wilson will be coming on here in a few minutes. We may run a little bit past 9:30 tonight. Give him a little bit of insight into all this. But as long as the Bucks are winning, why should we really care? Sunday was a setback. Yes, make no mistake about it. It was a setback, and it raises a lot. It raises a lot of very serious questions as they head into the bye. Trying to look at something here real quick, see if I got anything else that is going on here. Um, White injured his right forearm during the course of the game, and he'll be back in. Oh, I'll tell you what I want to touch on. We'll get back into the Buccaneers in just a few minutes, but I want to touch on something that's really been the big topic of conversation over the course of the past couple of days, and that is Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers came out in August and claimed that he had been vaccinated for the COVID virus. Okay. But this week, he said that he have, oh, geez. Good old Vince. Thanks for joining the show. Your timing couldn't be any better because exactly I'm just now touching on the Aaron Rodgers story. Okay. Let us set the stage for those who don't know what we're talking about. Aaron Rodgers apparently came out with some comments saying that he was immunized for the coronavirus. This is back in July or August. Well, now the stories come out that where he lied and said that he never was indeed immunized with the COVID virus. And so now it's caused a lot of controversy up in Green Bay. And a lot of people saying that Rodgers should be suspended. Now, Mike Florio of ProFootballTalk.com says that the NFL is investigating as to what extent Aaron Rodgers violated the COVID policies or protocols. Jay Glazer says the investigations will result in potential fines of Rodgers and the Packers, but a suspension is not expected. Now, all these guys are who have taken the shots and everything, and are immunized and all, and that's great, and I think it's wonderful. I think that for Rodgers, I never thought, everybody said that Aaron Rodgers was a selfish individual, and I kind of disagreed with that. Even when he was coming out and saying that the Packers should have notified him about Jordan Love or whoever the quarterback was. But after hearing all this, and seeing how he did not, in fact, did not get vaccinated, tells me that people are right, that he is selfish, that he only cares about himself and doesn't care about the team. Now, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. Because if you're a quarterback for one of the greatest franchises in all professional sports, you better damn well be thinking of your teammates, of your coworkers, and everybody. You're at the face of the franchise. And for you to come out and saying the things that you're saying and not doing the things that you should be doing says a lot about Aaron Rodgers, says a lot about his character, says a lot about the kind of person that he is. This is not going to set well. This is not going to set well. And Jay Glazer's report of no suspensions, I think, is crazy, because quite frankly, he should be suspended, and he should be suspended for multiple games. Excuse me. Put your comments in the chat room. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. And as Ben says, he should get suspended a few games. Why not? Other people are taking the vaccine. Other people, they're not taking the vaccine. They've been suspended. They're not playing right now. But yet Aaron Rodgers gets a pass. He should be suspended immediately. As a matter of fact, I'm probably to the point of saying maybe he should be suspended for the rest of the year. I know, and people say, I know it's a choice and all that. That's fine. That's fine. But but as a quarterback, you have a responsibility. You're a leader. You have a responsibility, not only to yourself, but to the people around you. Okay. So, what do you mean no? What do you mean not true? What's not true? Come on, boy. Tell me what's not true. I just think that he if there was ever any more the definement, okay, okay, other than plain not being vaccinated, that's not the issue. He didn't follow protocol. I completely support his right not to be vaccinated. And that's fine. People have the choices. Okay, but number one, he didn't follow protocol. He lied about the fact that he was vaccinated. Okay, and now other people have have been around him. Okay, and I mean, I you have different of opinion on it. That's fine. Okay, him not following the protocol, following procedures, she should be suspended. Okay, he shouldn't. Well, yeah, you're right. Not the fact that he wasn't vaccinated, but that he never followed protocol. He never followed the protocol. Okay, I personally think he should have been vaccinated. Not not because of the issue, but of the fact that you have a responsibility to other people, not just yourself, but other people. If you haven't got vaccinated, that's fine, okay. But but you need to tell people that. You don't need to lie to people. I mean, this is and I appreciate that, and to and you're right, he is entitled to his. That's fine. But don't lie about it. Don't say that you've been immunized, that you've been vaccinated, and making everybody on the team believe that he has his shots and everything. Then all of a sudden he comes out that he hasn't. I mean, if I'm a teammate of the Green Bay Packers, and I find out my quarterback lied to us about his procedures, well, and you know what, Vince says, I hope he hasn't caused an outbreak with his teammates. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. I want to say I thought I heard a story saying that he had COVID, but I don't think that's true. Okay, I thought I heard something about that, but um, I don't think that's true. But it just bothers me to some extent, you know, about it. And I'm gonna see my guy's gonna be coming on or not. And it's just crazy in my opinion. You do not lie. You do not lie, especially about something like that. Okay. And I'm interested in seeing how the NFL handles this whole thing. Okay. All right. And there's been there's been kind of debate about that's another opinion. So, but that's Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, let's get back to football here. Thanks. What are your thoughts on Bucks long snappers Zach Triner? How does he rank in the league against other long snappers? I think Triner's been doing a fine job. I mean, I think he's one of the best right now in the league. Probably in the top 5. I mean, I'm not seeing one. I'm not seeing the guy have one bad snap during this whole season. And he's a guy that we don't really talk about all that much. We don't talk about the long snappers. Heck, we don't even talk about a Buccaneer offense if you want to be honest about it. That is until Tom Brady came on board. I mean, I've been a fan of these boys right here for a long time. I go back to the mid 80s. I mean, I remember a time when we had offensive line, when we had at one point, I think it was 83, 84. Well, and this is the God's honest truth. We had 14 different offensive line combinations in a 16-game season. That or 12 offensive line combinations, 14. But you get the idea. Where's the consistency in that? I mean, look. I mean, and look. Even look at these boys right here. Okay, and I talked about this several weeks ago. How that offensive line several years ago was was more destructive than a Roy Hooker sing-along contest. Well, you had like only 6 guys playing all year long, and you were just hoping and praying that those 5 could get through each and every game. Oh, I remember those days. But man, I mean, and Vince goes on to say, well, maybe his offensive line might break down for a split second after learning he lied. Give him a message. Okay, done with Rodgers. Oh, I don't think they're gonna do that, but it's definitely gonna change the culture of that locker room. Make no mistake about it. So it's gonna be interesting how they play this down the road. But yeah, you're right. Enough enough the Packers. I'm gonna see my boy. I'm gonna see my boy is gonna be joining me here, so we can talk a little more on the Buccaneers here. Let's see, where are you? Where are you? Oh, by the way, just a little heads up. Um, the week of the New Orleans Saints game that I talk about, that's going to be on Sunday night. I am going to be down in Florida that week. So Insider's not going to be on, but I may try and do something. Let's see if I can get him on. Let's see. Wait for a response from him. Wait a few more minutes. But yeah, going down to Florida for a couple of for some fun and relaxation, and get to see my little um, nieces, grandnieces, and grandnephews. I'm just so excited. I haven't seen them in 2 years for obvious reasons. So I am very much looking forward to doing that. While we're waiting to find out if James Big Buck Wilson's going to join me here, let's get you started and tell you what's going on this weekend in terms of football, as we always do. And this weekend is supposed to be some weekend with some very interesting games. Um, of course, Central Michigan won their game last night with Jim McElwain, who we talked about earlier. Um, Tomorrow night, Virginia Tech will be at Boston College. Saturday, we have some interesting games. Ohio State will be at Nebraska. Um, let's see. That's going to be an 11 o'clock game Central Time on ABC. Kansas will be at Kansas State. Georgia Tech will be at Miami. That's the 11:30 game on ESPN3. Michigan State will take on Purdue. That's an ABC telecast. Oklahoma State will be at West Virginia. Auburn at Texas A&M. That will be the game on CBS. Mississippi State at Arkansas. LSU will be at Alabama, 6 p.m. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Tennessee will be at Kentucky. Both of those games will be on ESPN and ESPN at the same time. We said Florida will be at South Carolina. We know about that one. Clemson will be at Louisville. Iowa State will be at home against Texas. That would be an interesting game. Houston will be against South Florida. That'll be on ESPNU. And that's what's going on around college football. As far as games in the National Football League, we got a good slate of games. The Bucs, the Redskins, Seattle, and Detroit all have byes. So it's going to be a very limited schedule. Cleveland at Cincinnati, Denver at Dallas. Denver having traveled all the way to Dallas. But boy, I mean, that's quite a trip. Las Vegas at New York. New England at Carolina. Minnesota, Baltimore. Buffalo, Jacksonville. The Rams against the Eagles. Eagles are going to kill the Rams, make no mistake about it. Minnesota's at Baltimore. The Packers will be at Kansas City. That's going to be a very interesting game. That's going to be a very interesting game. Mahomes against Aaron Rodgers. I mean that that stadium's going to explode. Arizona, San Francisco. Sunday night, Tennessee against the the LA Rams at 7:20. As the LA Chargers will be at Philadelphia. That's a game that the Eagles will beat the Chargers. So, I'm Ann and Tomlin checking in, saying, "Hi, Joe, you rock animal." I appreciate that, Miss Amanda. She says, "I'm still loving my Panthers. Keep pounding." Oh God, Carolina fan. What am I going to do with these people? What am I going to do with these people, Carolina, really? Seriously? Love you too, Amanda. Love you too. Okay, so Ben says revise my prediction. Oh, I love it. I can get I love my platform in which I can give people a hard time, and they still take it all in stride, despite some differences that we may have. Okay, so it doesn't look like that my buddy's going to be joining me here tonight. So okay, all right. I'm not going there. I'm not going. I'm not going to post that one. So you got to explain that one to me sometime. So that one I don't get. Okay, so as we've done through we've gone through our schedule and everything. We've talked a lot about the Bucks and everything. On next week's show, I'm trying to line up Terry Norvell, college football analyst, who does a great job on the national scene. We'll get him to come on and talk a lot about the Gators and also what's happening with college football. Oh, by the way, before we end tonight, I have no idea where my mind is. Geez, what's wrong with me? The BCS. That's what I wanted to talk about. The BCS. The first BCS poll came out. The first BCS poll came out. Let's see here. I know I got it here somewhere. Rankings, and Georgia's number 1, Alabama's number 2, Michigan State's number 3, Oregon's number 4, and Ohio State is number 5. Okay, so James says he's not going to make it. So again, let me go back. Georgia number 1, Alabama number 2, Michigan State number 3, Oregon number 4, and the top 2, the next 2, Ohio State and Cincinnati. Michigan 7, Oklahoma 8th, Wake Forest 9th, Notre Dame is 10th. So that's the first BCS. That is the first BCS ranking that has come out. And as I'm looking that, I'm very surprised because I love Michigan State. I love Michigan State, and I like that program and what they're doing. But I'm not so sure that they're better than Oklahoma. I'm not so sure they're better than Notre Dame. But what do I know? That's why they play the games. So I think we're gonna watch all this obviously play out. And this weekend is really some big games, especially Ohio State against 3-6 Nebraska. And Georgia is going to be at home against the Missouri Tigers. And I gotta tell you, you watch Mizzou, they're like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of team. You never know what you're gonna get out of them. Okay. And Michigan State, as I said, will be at Purdue for a 2:30 kickoff, and that's at Purdue. So let's see here. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out down the road. So fortunately, we couldn't get James Buck Wilson to join us. But hopefully, he'll try me back on next week. Now, on next week's edition, as I said, we're going to try and get Terry Norvell to come on the show to talk about college football in its entirety and get a national perspective on what's happening with the Florida Gators. And oh, by the way, I mentioned earlier about the broadcaster who was talking about Dan Mullen is going to the pros. That was Rick Neuheisel, who got on a radio show today, started spreading those rumors about. So that's going to be how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. Terry Norvell next week. We're going to try and get some other guests to come on as well. We're going to try to get Lucas Mann to come on. talk a little bit more about recruiting and what's going on that front. And thank goodness no recruits decided to step out on this week. Well, for no guests, we went an hour and 15 minutes today. I hope you guys liked what you saw here today. Apparently you did. I want to thank Roy, Amanda, Vince, other guys that joined me here. Thank you for joining me here tonight. We'll be back next week, this same time, this same channel. Hope you would join me. Until then, as I take you out, you all have a great weekend. God bless. As I always like to say, if you're not a Gator, you're primed to be Gator bait. 7:30 next week, 7:30 Saturday nights, Eastern Time. Gators in South Carolina. Should be a great game. Until next week, you're surely the animal. Have a great weekend, everybody, and go Gators. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching Animal Football Insider. Be sure to join us every Thursday night here on Facebook Live.